Richard Skipper celebrates. Every show is a celebration. Richard Skipper celebrates the best in entertainment. Each show, Richard delivers the artists you love, showcasing what makes them unique. Never gossipy. The antidote to a sometimes hectic world. Now, here's your host, Richard Skipper.
Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to Richard Skipper Celebrates. If you were here for the first time, welcome. My show is about celebrating life, celebrating art, celebrating artists, celebrating whatever we can find to celebrate, especially in these crazy times. And if you take the time to look for things to celebrate, there truly is a lot to celebrate in our lives. Well, today, for example, today is International Literacy Day. It's National Pledge of Allegiance Day. It is National Actors Day. And I can't think of a better day to have our special guest tonight, Hechter Ubarry, and he is the consummate actor. He has conquered Broadway, Cabaret. As a matter of fact, he has a cabaret show coming up next month, which we're going to talk about. He has done opera. He has done film. He has even conquered Crocodile Dundee. He's done it all, and we're going to celebrate it tonight. I want to ask, before we jump into your amazing resume, how are you doing really in the midst of this crazy world that we're all living in right now?
Well, thank you for inviting me, Richard. I'm having a great time during the pandemic. I'm performing, I'm still singing. As you know, I'm doing my cabaret show. I did a guest star on Blue Bloods.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, and I just did a movie. Actually, it's a website series called Oh, Dahlia. We shot that about 3 weeks ago, and I never stopped performing. And I'm auditioning all the time, self-taping. I'm having the life of Riley, if you could put it that way.
Well, it's interesting because COVID. I was talking to someone this afternoon, and she said that COVID reminds her of those moments when our parents, as children, sent us back to our rooms for a timeout. That this has been a timeout for all of us to go back to our rooms and to think about what we've all done wrong collectively to the planet, to each other, for us to pause. But it's brought a lot of us together. It's brought you and I together. We have met through, I'm not going to mention the name because everybody will get jealous, but Friday nights throughout this past year, a mutual friend of ours has had a virtual cocktail party, and which has been a blast. Some of the greatest actors around sharing war stories, and it's just been a blast. And that's how you and I met. And I thought it would be a great opportunity to have you here, and I'm thrilled that you're here tonight.
Thank you. Speaking of the COVID, I've been singing for an organization called Vocalese. And what we do sometimes, since now the COVID is here, we sing. We go sing the songs, and then we videotape it, and then we dub it in, and then those videotapes go to the senior centers, and then we come on as guests to talk to them and share the videos with them. So I've been very busy. There hasn't been a moment.
No, I think that's wonderful. One of the things that I've been thinking about as far as COVID is concerned is that it's been a great leveler because it's put all of us on the same playing field for the most part. But we've all gone through this together. Some have not unfortunately come through this, and it's affected people different ways. You have been able to manage to work through this, but what are some of the things that COVID has affected in terms of your work that you feel that you will be carrying forward beyond, getting back into the workforce? You do have a cabaret show coming up, as we mentioned, next month, and we'll talk about that in a few moments. But what are some of the things that you are taking forward with you?
Well, I've lost a lot of friends because of COVID.
Sorry about that.
People that I have worked with on the stage, in Spanish theater, in the English-speaking theater, in films, and it's been tragic.
Mm-hmm.
It's been tragic, but I have to continue because there are people out there who want entertainment, who want to laugh and want to congratulate you and want to be part of you because you're sort of bringing happiness to them.
Now, you probably have never had the time to just take a pause and reflect back. We're going to do a little reflecting tonight. But you've had this amazing story. Have you ever thought about writing your memoirs or writing a book to put your story between the pages of a book?
I've been asked many times by some of my high school chums. I went to the High School of Performing Arts, and they're saying, we're waiting for the book. We're waiting for your memoirs because you've done so many things. I feel like I've never really done that much.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to admit that when I look at it, there is a lot of work that I've done that I don't give myself as much credit for.
Well, I want to go back. I want to go back even before you were here because it's in your genes. Your mom was a singer. Your mom sang on the radio in Puerto Rico long before you even came along.
That's right.
So do you feel that that is where you got the spark of the industry from? What was it about your mom singing? And I know that your mom also sang around the house, and you grew up with music surrounding you all the time.
There was always music in my household. My mother used to get up and sing at places, events with musicians, and I would look at her in shock, because no kid wants to see their parents performing. But she handled herself very well, and the musicians respected her, and she was a pro. And I guess it must have rubbed off on me because I enjoy performing in front of an audience. I get nervous like everyone else, but it propels me and it pushes me forward. And I go out there and I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
When I'm singing, it gives me such pleasure to see the audience really react.
Now, before you were even of an age to even be aware of what was going on, your mom and your grandparents moved to Harlem from Puerto Rico. What are your earliest memories of living here in the States and acclimating yourself here in the United States?
Well, I remember living in the projects in Harlem, the St. Nicholas projects on 129th Street between 7th and 8th Avenue. And I remember my friends, we called ourselves singing gang, I guess, because there was no other word for it. And we would go in the hallways and sing doo-wop. That was my first inkling, of singing. I didn't know about Broadway or, theater or anything. All I knew was singing doo-wop. And of course, I would sing the lead. My ego was such that I needed to be out there in front. And my friends were fine with that. And we would sing all the doo-wop songs in the hallways. And those hallways in the back, they had such reverb that we all sounded like we were stars.
Well, before we even get there, I want to go to the 5-year-old Hechter Ubarry, because the 5-year-old self, to me, is where it all begins. That's the time when we start to really develop our real selves. when peer pressure starts to get layered upon you, when you start to develop who you're going to be, when your friends start telling you who you should be or who you should not be, who your parents tell you who you should be, your teachers. Tell us a little bit about this little boy right here.
Well, you see that lips, the way they're formed, that was because I used to watch Elvis Presley movies all the time. And so that lip, that curved lip, was what Elvis used to do. He was always in the movies, and always he bring his lip up and then go, "Are you talking to me?" You know. And so most of my photos in those days were imitating Elvis Presley. I wanted to be a star then. I used to throw myself against the furniture at home and just act out. I don't know why, but I did it. I used to imitate everything I saw. I'd come out of the movies and I would see Alan Ladd in the movies, and I would come out thinking that I'm Alan Ladd.
Now you're telling my story. I mean, that was the kid that I was as well. But
Yeah.
When you were doing this, I mean, you said you wanted to be a star. Did you have any sense of what acting was or what show business was, or it was just this fantasy world that you were seeing outliving, at that time in the movies?
See, I used to go to a movie theater called the Western. For 25 cents, I would see 3 movies, 10 cartoons, and serials. And every time I would stay there, repeat the movies and repeat them. And I wouldn't come out until like 6 or 7 o'clock in the afternoon, the evening. But every time I came out of the theater, I was the character that I had seen in the movie.
Mm.
I was Alan Ladd. I was Elvis Presley, of course.
Of course.
Yes. Any actor, I would come out, and I thought that maybe there was a sickness in me, because I said, I'm losing Hechter because I'm becoming this person, this actor. And I guess I never stopped because I'm still very influenced by these actors that I saw in the movies. And I remember saying to myself, that's what I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. All my friends were into baseball, basketball. I couldn't do any of that stuff. I wasn't good enough.
One of the sad realities of most people who want careers in show business is the realities of survival. And I want to ask about your mom, because did your mom continue to sing once she made the move to New York, or did she give it up just to be able to survive in New York?
She did give it up. She had 3 children to take care of, my 2 sisters and myself. And then at one point we moved from Harlem to Brooklyn.
Mm.
And then after I started the High School of Performing Arts, my mother decides I'm going to move to Connecticut. She says, we're going to Connecticut. And I said, no, I'm in a high school where I'm learning to act. I'm not going to Connecticut. I'm sorry. So I had to live with one of my sisters who was already married, or another sister, and a friend of mine, a classmate, Polly. She said to me, we have an extra bedroom in Brooklyn. She was from Trinidad. So I said, of course, I'll go and live with you. And I got immersed in the Trinidadian culture, the big sparrow.
Well, I want to go back a little bit.
Okay.
When did you first become? I still want to. You have this fantasy world going on of
Yes.
Elvis Presley and Alan Ladd merging together. But when did you first become aware? Who put you on the path that there was such a thing as the High School of Performing Arts? When did you know that this was something that could perhaps become a profession?
Well, when I was in junior high school, there was another actor, Stacy, who had been accepted to the High School of Performing Arts. And I said, oh, I want to go there. And then he says, well, go and see the drama teacher. So I went to the drama teacher and she said, you have no experience. I said, yes, but that's what I want to do. And she said, okay, well, let me see what you can do. she put me through a few exercises, and then she said, I'm going to work with you, and we're going to let you audition for the school. We worked 2 auditions, 2 monologues, which is what was required.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the audition, and I auditioned, and they asked me, "Who's your favorite actor?" I thought they were thinking I was going to say Marlon Brando. I didn't know who that was or anything. I said Elvis Presley, and they said, "Okay." And then the young lady who was reading with me at the audition, she was in the school, she was a junior. She came out and she says, "I'm not supposed to tell you this, but you got in." And so my whole life was about to change.
Well, explain what that moment was like for you, and what that did for you as far as the identity of Hechter Ubarry. Did your life changed? Did you did you feel at that moment, I am an actor? Or did you feel that you were an aspiring actor? Where did you feel that you fit in as far as the road to becoming an actor?
Well, when I was at Performing Arts the first year, my ego started going up. I mean, I used to take dance classes, and I had ballet slippers because that was required for the dance department, the drama department. And then I would go to Brooklyn. Brooklyn was gang filled. There were gangs all over the place. And I would take and hide my ballet slippers, because if I had shown my ballet slippers, I was going to be in a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but before that, I would walk like a peacock. I was a star in my mind.
Yes.
I was going to be the great, great actor. But when I got off the train in Brooklyn, I played it down. I became very humble, very quiet, because these gangs don't play around. They were mean people. So that's when I started. And 3 years, I had to go to some school twice because I wasn't good at the academics. Twice I had to go to some school. And then in my senior year, I had to go to night school as well as day school.
Wow.
Because they said to me, we like your talent. We don't want to lose you, but you have to make up some of these courses. And I just wasn't prepared.
Was it because you were focused so much on the performing that the other stuff was just fun?
No, it had to do that I didn't have the right background, the right household background where I can really sit down and study. It was like helter skelter. It was like it was like a nightmare. So I couldn't concentrate on any academics, but I could do the acting, and I would go there and I would shine. But unfortunately, the academics were just not happening for me. So when it came time to graduation, I found out that there was a production of Bye Bye Birdie with Raul Julia, and I auditioned for them. And they said, "Sure, we can use you." So I left the school a month earlier, and then I did that, and then I came back and I said, "What am I going to do now?" I have no job.
Did you get your equity card with that production?
No, that was a non-equity production.
Okay.
And then I came back to New York, and I said, "What am I going to do?" And somebody said, they're auditioning. They need an extra Indian, an Inca Indian for a new Broadway show called The Royal Hunt of the Sun, starring Christopher Plummer, George Rose, David Carradine. I auditioned. They put me through a few paces here and there, and they offered me the job, and that's how I got my equity card.
Wow. Was it easier in those days in terms of getting auditions going in? I mean, I know that there was this system where people would say, this audition is going on, and you would hear through word of mouth and be able to go in and audition for these things. But do you think that it's gotten a lot harder for kids that are coming into New York to be able to get these opportunities that you were able to get at that time?
I think it's become impossible now. In those days, you can read the trades, and you could go and show up, and you might get hired. Today, it is almost impossible to get hired. I mean, I'm here. I have to do a lot of videotapes, self-taping to send my audition in.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't as easy as it used to be.
So when you got into this show, how long were you in the show?
Okay. I was in Royal Hunt of the Sun from the beginning. I got my equity card. And then in late December, a friend of mine who was also in the cast, Kurt Christian, an actor, he said to me, let's go to Hollywood.
Mm.
If we're on Broadway, we could become movie stars. So we both gave our notices in and moved out to Hollywood. I got an agent right away because the agent said, you're the type they're always looking for. But meanwhile, money was going low. I couldn't collect unemployment because I had quit. But then I found out Royal Hunt was coming to the Greek Theater in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I called them up and I said, hey, I'm here. And they said, okay, we'll send you a contract. So then I was able to get my unemployment compensation. But by then I left to New York, and then I moved to London, England, to try to pursue my career as a British, as an actor on the London stage. Well, that didn't work out too well. They don't allow American actors to just go in there and try to, but I started singing. Then I went to Germany, and I started to run out of money. And so I had to come back home to New York. And then I started doing Spanish theater. Very little money, $20 here, $50 there. No union, no nothing. I became very popular in the Spanish theater.
But Hector, I want to go back. When you got your equity card, did you realize the enormity of what that meant, getting your equity card at that point? And how did that change for you? Was it, now getting your equity card, there's a lot going on right now with equity productions and non-equity productions. And of course, COVID has thrown the monkey wrench into so many productions right now. But at that time, what did that do for you in terms of what you were able to pursue or not able to pursue as far as your career was concerned?
Well, when I got my equity card, it felt golden because it felt like I was accepted and I was going to be able to go to all these equity auditions. Didn't have to wait too much online to try to get an audition. I don't know. I got very lucky. Because I needed to work. I needed to make a living. I didn't have money coming from, I didn't have any trust funds. So I had to make it work. And I would go to a lot of auditions and I would be typed out. And then one summer, a friend of mine said, a dresser, he said, why don't you try Man of La Mancha? I said, it says in the papers, Man of La Mancha, muleteers, men who drive mules. And I said, I'm not going to be able to fake that. I don't drive a mule. I really felt that was what they were looking for. He says, go and take your picture to the casting office. I took my picture and she said, Wendy said, have you seen the show? I said, we're having auditions tomorrow. And I said, yes. I lied. Mm-hmm. I had not seen the show. So that same day, I bought a $5 balcony seat and saw the show. And then I said, I could do that. There's no driving mules here. And so I auditioned for Jack Cole. Jack Cole was the choreographer.
Yes, of course.
He was a legend. And so he put us through the dance steps. First I sang, and then they said, no, that's not the kind of voice we're looking for. But Wendy said, has Jack Cole seen you dance yet, Hector? I said, no. So then Jack put us through the horse dance routine. Mm-hmm. And then they brought us out individually to do the horse dance with him. He would do it, and then you would do it. And so, and we just go on and on and on. And then a couple of months later, I heard that they said, we want you to do the first bus and truck of Man of La Mancha. And so I went out for 7 months all over the country. And I remember the Spanish group that I was working with, the Spanish theater, said, Hector, with us, you're a star. With them, they're going to put you in the chorus. And I said, yes, but they're paying me $250. So I'm going with them. The heck with the chorus. I'll be making a living. I did that. And I came back to New York and found out that they were auditioning for a movie, The Cross and the Switchblade, with Pat Boone.
Yes.
And then I went in, and the director, Don Murray, the great actor,
Yes.
he says, you know, you look so innocent and soft to be a gang member. I said, yes, but I could do it. I mean, I'm an actor. So then he says, okay, he relented and gave me the chance. And then a few days later, he saw me on the screen and he says, you know, you're very mean. And I said, Performing Arts High School. So I did that. And then the audition came about for the Broadway production of Man of La Mancha. And I was auditioning against 2 other people. And somehow I was taking flamenco classes and ballet classes. And so I got the job. I got the Broadway show. And we went and we closed at the Mark Hellinger Theater. And then a year later, the Vivian Beaumont Theater at Lincoln Center decided they were going to bring in the original cast. And Eddie Roll, who had done my part originally, wasn't available. So they asked me to come on in. And that lasted almost 3 decades, Man of La Mancha. I did every major production with Richard Kiley, Raul Julia, you name it. Jose Ferrer, Robert Goulet. Every major production of Man of La Mancha, I did.
You did it.
I did it. And the director wouldn't hire anyone else for that part. I'm a Virgo, and we are known as perfectionists. So when I did something...
Well, speaking of which, happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
Your birthday this week.
Yes, thank you.
Still celebrating. There are, I'll put you in this category. Carol Channing, Yul Brynner. There are very few actors who have the stamina to be able to stay with a show and do it for as long as you do it. There are so many actors that I've interviewed who have done Phantom of the Opera for so many years.
Yeah.
What is it with you that keeps you wanting to stay with a production for so long? And of course, there's the security that's there, that in this business that's constantly changing. But what is it for you that has kept it fresh in your heart and mind for so many years?
Well, Richard, I'm still hoping to be discovered. And so that propels me never to give in to boredom on the stage, because, I believe somewhere along the line, someone's going to say, that's who we're looking for. So why would I, not do my best? And besides, when they're coming to see the show, they've never seen the show before.
But do you still feel that carrot is out there? You still feel that you're waiting to be discovered with all that you've accomplished?
Well, let me tell you something. It keeps me from getting bored. It may never happen. I may never be the old stars like Humphrey Bogart and Leslie.
Well, let's stop there. And let's talk about your star turn in Crocodile Dundee II.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, where you steal the film.
Well,
how did Crocodile Dundee II happen for you?
Okay. I was in the health club. I was in the health club running, and my agent left a message for me on my answering service. In those days, there were no phones, no cell phones. So I went and picked it up.
What was your answering service, I have to ask?
It was Actor Phone.
Because I worked for the Green Room answering service.
Okay. I was with Actor Phone. And so this message came in. It says, listen, they want to see you this afternoon, the same day, for a film called Crocodile Dundee II. I hadn't seen Crocodile Dundee, the original one.
Mm-hmm.
But she said, you can either just show up or pick up the sides, the script first, and then go in. And then I had to make a decision. I said, let me go pick up the sides. And then I picked up the sides, and it said, Rico, chains around his neck, death in his eyes. And then I said, that's not me. There's no way they're going to see me for that. So then I came home, went back to the health club. And then I said, let me go upstairs, at least give it an effort. So I went home and I started changing different clothes. I said, I'm not going to get this job because I don't look like I have death in my eyes. And I don't feel that part of being a mean looking person, but I'm going to go in there like a playboy. Like I'm out on the town and that's it. I'm just going to go in there and show off. And I'm going to show them what they miss because they didn't hire me. And I get in there and I had 3 different monologues to read and I had it on my hands. But I went with that attitude, like, I am in charge here, And so I auditioned for them. At one point, I had chewing gum in my mouth. I did the thing with chewing gum, and I almost spit the chewing gum out at the casting director. And something held me back from doing that. I went, and I didn't do it. A week later, they wanted me to come in to meet the producer. And the producer came in and he said to me, I came in from Australia and I saw so many different tapes. He says, when you came on the screen, he says, I went, whoa. So whatever I did, and I don't know what I did, other than my idea of, I'm a playboy. I'm just going to show you what you can't do.
But the fedora that you wore.
Well, let me tell you, I was doing Man of La Mancha. I was doing Man of La Mancha in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And the guy who was playing Sancho, Eddie, and I were walking. And there's this thrift shop. And there was this Panama hat, $5. I said, $5, I'll take it. So when we got to Australia, they wanted to put different hats on me. Mm-hmm. And then I said, they all look very big, covered my face. And then I said, guys, I brought this hat. And I put it on. I did it. They said, that's it. That's the hat we're going to use. And so then what they did was they reproduced it several times in case something went wrong. And so that a $5 hat was what did it.
I know. And the character was there. And of course, I'll let everyone know there's a great interview with Kathy and Regis. Kathy and her husband. Yes, her husband at the time talking about this. Yes. But then, what did your life change a lot after the film came out? Were you starting to get more and more calls?
Yes.
And was the transition easy for you to go from stage to film?
No, not really, because to me, it's all a life in the theater, a life in movies. It's, whatever you want me to do, just tell me where to go.
And I have to ask, when you're doing film, are you ever saying, okay, Elvis, here we go?
No. I still admire Elvis for what he accomplished. I even got to see him in person. I go in there and I just I take it as it comes. Whatever the role is, I went and did 2 films in Europe, which were in their own language, in German, French, and I spoke in English. But you see, a lot of this training comebacks brings me back to the High School of Performing Arts.
Absolutely. When I first came to New York, there was a place, what seemed almost like a hole in the wall, that I used to go to, open mic, called Ye Triple N. Oh. And you used to do calypso dancing there. You know,
I sang there.
sang there as well. What are your memories? I mean, these places that we no longer have in New York. I want to go back to those hunger years. You
Yes.
talk about those moments where those lucky things that happened to you.
Yeah.
But there are also, what was the longest period for you when the work was not there? And how did you get through that psychologically?
Well,
Are you a spiritual person? What gets you through those moments?
no. You know, I'm a dreamer. I'm a big dreamer. I believe in dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I recall once when I was destitute. I had no money. I had this apartment, and I couldn't even pay the rent. My sister came and helped me out and paid the rent one month. And then I saw in the trades, the backstage newspaper. I said, they're auditioning for The King and I at Chateau de Ville Dinner Theater. And then I remember that someone had said to me, you know, you'd make a good Prince Chulalongkorn, the young prince.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I was 26 years old then. But I went to the audition and they said, you know, you're not quite right, but we'll give you a call back. And I was sort of disheveled because I had been through the mill.
Mm-hmm.
I had some precious coins that I had to use to take the subway, which I hated departing from them. But I showed up the next week, very youthful looking. And they said, okay, we're going to sing this song that the young boy sings, the reprise of There Are Times I Almost Think I Am Not Sure. So then she starts to play the beat, and I realize that's too deep for me. It's going to sound like I'm a baritone, and I'm supposed to be a young little 13-year-old boy. So I said to the pianist, I said, can you bring it up an octave? I didn't really mean an octave. I just meant a few steps, but I didn't know the language well enough. So then the director, Buff Scher, was the director. And she said, well, it's not written an octave high. And he says, go ahead, play it an octave higher. I hit every note. And then they said, would you wait outside for a few minutes? I went outside. They were discussing something. They said, okay, would you come in? And they said, we'd like to hire you as Prince Chulalongkorn. There you are, dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
And dreaming and never giving up.
Mm-hmm.
I still today, I don't give up.
So many of us in this business, I believe also in manifesting. I believe that if you believe it, you can make it happen. What you talk about these great opportunities that have come your way.
Mm-hmm.
There have to be some no's that have been in your path as well. How do you maneuver around those no's? I'm sure, thinking of you and your outlook on life, which I absolutely love, Hechter.
Thank you.
I am sure that you don't focus on those no's, but in the back of your mind, they have to be there. How do you get around those? And how do you maneuver? And because I want to talk about mapping out a career.
Most of the auditions that I've been to that I've never gotten callback, it wounds me. It hurts me. They still do. That never goes away. I auditioned. I did like 6 or 7 self-tape auditions. Nada. Zilch. I get very depressed.
Mm-hmm.
What did I do? Am I not good enough? And those things are not really true because it's beyond your control.
Mm-hmm.
Your height. I'm only 5'6", so I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do those leading men on Broadway. So it does wound me every time.
Mm-hmm.
But I get over it. And I said, let's move forward, because you have to remember the positive things that you've done.
Absolutely. And it was the dreams that obviously got you into this business. But when you look over the arc of your career, how much of your career do you feel that you've actually set back and you mapped out the steps that you're going to take along the way? Or how much of your career have happened because of circumstances, being at the right place at the right time, knowing the right people, and just being prepared? Obviously, you've got the skill set, you are prepared, you're at the right place at the right time. Those things obviously are there. But how much of your career have you actually mapped out in terms of getting from point A to point B and beyond?
You know, I wish I can give you a simple answer, because I don't think in those terms of, well, if this doesn't happen, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's unfortunate that I don't think like that. I probably should. But
well, it's been working for you the other way, so don't change anything.
oh, no. Obviously, it's not. I'm not going to change anything. For instance, there was a Western that I was offered recently, about 10 years ago, and they're still trying to get the money for it. So I went and started getting riding on horses, taking lessons, just to be prepared, because I believe that you have to be prepared for that particular eventuality that you might be called to do it. If it's ice skating, I'll get on the ice skates and start practicing and start, because it's part of the business of the actor to be prepared. Stanislavski said it, be prepared. And I believe in that. I believe that you just have to move away the cobwebs and just look forward. There's a song in Spanish that says, sigue de frente, continue onward. And I really believe that, because otherwise I'd be a basket case and worried about, oh, I didn't get this, I didn't get that. That happens all the time. Every audition that I don't get, I'm depressed. It takes me a few days. It takes me a few days to come out of it and says, onward, next.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about your cabaret show that's coming up. Your last cabaret show that you did was an autobiographical show, right, about growing up in Harlem and going into the business and everything. Is your next show that's coming up, and I've got your card here that I'm going to show. Is this show a continuation? This is Songs from Broadway and Hollywood, to the Beatles and the Mamas and the Papas. Will the audience get a little bit of Elvis in this show as well?
Not quite Elvis, but the thing is, this is like a continuation. My musical director, Christopher Denny.
Yes, amazing.
Yes.
You've got Barry Kleinbort and Christopher.
Yes. He sees
in the business.
They see it like a bookend. Like that one was the first one, and this would be like an act two. If we were to do a whole night of performance, act one and act two. This one takes place after I've already been in the business, and it's very exciting. And they've come up with some really clever music, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Now, let's talk about the arc and the shape of putting this show together. How did you choose the songs that you're doing in the show? Are these songs from shows that you've wanted to do? Are they songs from shows that you've done? How have you put without giving away the songs, of course?
Right. No, these are it was a collaboration between Chris Denny and Barry Kleinbort and myself. And we chose songs that would be appropriate to the storyline that we're doing. And so, I mean, every day, I'm not even I'm not able to sleep because I'm still remembering my lyrics. What's this song? And we're rehearsing every week. I have a rehearsal coming up Friday. So we're really, they're very excited about this show. They're more excited than I am because, again, I'm the talent and I'm sort of like, you know, that paranoia comes into play in every actor, I believe. It's just like, am I really doing the right thing? But they are excited about it. And so their excitement makes me excited as well.
Now, obviously, we've gone through a year and a half of COVID and everything. How long has it been since you were last on stage doing a show like this?
Well, not a show like this, but I sang last week in front of an audience, a live audience, at the Grand Street Settlement. Next week, I'm performing with Alex Rybeck.
Oh, wow.
In another show. Yes, Alex is a wonderful musician. And so this gives me a chance to practice in front of an audience so that when my show comes around, I'll be ready. And I won't miss a beat. And I enjoy performing. I don't know how to put it.
Well, I can tell.
It's so much excitement.
For you personally, what is the excitement about the intimacy of a small, intimate cabaret room? I know that rooms are starting to reopen. Right now, you're going to be at Green Room 42. Are they open back at capacity? Is it limited seating? What protocols are in place now? I know that are masks required?
I do know they require you to be vaccinated, fully vaccinated. That's everyone, the musicians, myself, and people in the audience are not going to be allowed in unless they are vaccinated, which I think is safe, to say that we'll be protected. So, but I encourage everyone, please get vaccinated and come and see my show, because it's not to be missed. It's going to be fun.
Now, you mentioned earlier, and God bless you, you have been very, very fortunate. You have worked with some of the greatest actors in the business.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm also going to say that they've been fortunate because they've worked with you.
Well, thank you.
No, seriously.
I've been very fortunate, yeah.
So what are some of the life lessons that you've learned from some of the actors that you've worked with? You got the opportunity to work with one of my favorite actors of all time, and that was Raul Julia, who we lost all too soon. His passing, was like a wound to the theater community. What are some of the life lessons that you learned from him about a life in the theater beyond the craft of being an actor?
Raul was very dedicated. I first worked with Raul in, that play, Bye Bye Birdie, 1965. And then we played, and when I was doing Spanish theater, he did a Spanish play with Miriam Colon called The Ox Cart. Mm-hmm. And that was directed by that wonderful, wonderful director, Lloyd. I forget his last name. But they hired me to be the understudy of the young boy because I was away in London. And they were looking for me, and they said, "Where have you been?" I said, "Well," so they offered the role to someone else. And then they said, "Well, would you be the understudy?" I said, "Sure." So that was the second time. And then we got together again in Man of La Mancha. And Raul was a sweetheart, a very gifted actor, very talented, and very self-assured of when he took the stage, you knew he was in charge. You knew he was Quixote, Cervantes. And we had a ball. We were on the road with him and Sheena Easton.
Yes.
Sheena Easton. We had a wonderful time. We played Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, a lot of the places I had been before, but I never got tired of it.
Did you like being on the road?
Yes, I'll tell you why. I like entertaining I like entertaining anywhere. But being on the road, you meet so many different people. The America is such a wonderful country. You have people in Los Angeles and Chicago. They're all different, but they're all wonderful. You know, I love performing for them, and I meet them. We have parties. They throw parties for us, and I get to act out and enjoy their company, and they enjoy my company. I still do my laundry because all these years I had to do my laundry on the road, and so that I still do my laundry here at home because I'm so used to it from being on the road.
And did your mom get a chance to see your success?
My mom was very upset when Paul Hogan put a knife to my throat. Even though I was playing a not very nice guy, but she was very angry when he put a knife to my neck.
Wow. Well, in wrapping up, this is my homage to James Lipton inside the Actors Studio. He had his own questions that he always used to end his shows with. I'm not going to ask his questions. I've got my own questions that I'm going to ask. And my first question is, whose talent among the people that you know do you most envy?
Envy. I would think I would love to have had a career like Christopher Plummer had. He was or Richard Kiley.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these were really top of the notch performers. I mean, I envy them because they had the opportunity that I will probably never get.
Well, there's still time. I'm going to hold out hope.
But you have to be. I have to be realistic. And had I been in the Spanish movies in Mexico, I might have become a big star. But I'm here, And so the reality is that people that look like me don't have those kind of opportunities.
Well, I'm all about celebrating your body of worth, and there's a lot there. So what is the thing that you are most interested in right now?
Besides my cabaret show?
I was going to say, besides learning your lyrics.
Oh, you have to see me, Richard. At night, I'm in bed and I'm going, and then sometimes I'll get up and go to the page and look at it and say, I got it.
Okay, I know that those moments. What was the quickest friendship that you ever made?
With my friend Kurt Christian, who was in the Broadway show with me, The Royal Hunt of the Sun. We became friends like that. He was a British actor, and here I was, an American actor, and we clicked. I mean, enough for me to quit a Broadway show and go out to California to try to become a movie star. That's insane.
But you did it. That's great.
People don't do things like that, I mean, so anyway, Kurt Christian, I would say.
That's great.
He's also a big movie star himself, by the way.
What is the best thing to do right after a performance?
Have a drink.
Good.
Have a cocktail because you need it.
And in what situation do you have the least control over your emotions?
I don't know what's going to come out. I don't know what's going to come out. I just hope that I don't embarrass myself. I hope that I'm truthful, honest. But you never know what's going to come out.
Right. And what is the biggest compromise that you've ever made?
That's a good one. I do not see anything that I compromise. I stayed away from negative stuff. I didn't go into heroin, drugs, or stuff like that. Like what's the name? The Little Sparrow said.
Yes.
I regret nothing.
Edith Piaf. That's wonderful.
Right. If I had to do it all over again, I probably would do the same thing.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, don't go anywhere for a moment. I want to thank you for being here tonight. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I don't take for granted that you could have been anywhere else for the last hour. And I'm sure that Hector feels the same way. The fact that you chose to spend it with us, it's all about the audience. So thank you for being here tonight. If you enjoyed tonight's interview, I hope you did. If this was your first time, I hope that you will consider subscribing to Richard Skipper Celebrates right here on YouTube. And tell your friends. Hit the like button if you did indeed like tonight's show. Leave a comment on YouTube. What that does is it increases the ranking of this video in terms of where it shows up in the analytics. It's a funny little thing the way that this all works. And there's a lot of noise out there, so it pushes it up there. So do that. I also end every show by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Go to your Facebook friends list, and the 8th name that pops up, reach out with a phone call. Not an email message, not a text message, not a private inbox message, but a phone call. And let that person know what they mean to you. As a dear friend of mine says, we're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. And you never know what someone else is going through right now, especially these days. So take the time to reach out. But I always say, if you're going to be out on a boat, make sure that you bring a skipper along. So, Hector, I'm actually going to leave the screen, and I'm going to give you the final word. Anything that you want to say about anything that we talked about tonight that you want to expound upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you wish that we had, or just any message that you want to put out to anyone who's watching right now, you are a star in my book. I thank you for being here tonight. I thank you for the gifts that you've given to the world and that you're going to continue to give. I wish you a very successful run at Green Room 42. Excuse me. I've got a frog in my throat. I'm going to, excuse me. Sorry about that. I'm going to do everything in my power to get there. I want to be there cheering you on. And Christopher Denny and Barry Kleinbort, I love them both dearly. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening and an even greater tomorrow. Thank you.
Well, what can I say? I enjoy what I do. I welcome new challenges. I never give up. My motto is never give up, because there is always something within you that is wonderful. And help your fellow friends and your neighbors, those who are out, down and out. I don't like to be preachy, but I enjoy what I do, and I hope that everyone else also enjoys what they do. I hope to see you all on October 16th or the 17th, and cheer us on, and God bless everyone. Like Tiny Tim says in the Christmas Carol, God bless everyone, one and all. Thank you for coming here tonight, and bravo to all of us. Thank you.